was, I, I thought you were about to say, you were about to text Jerry.
I did send him a message. I don't know if he ever responded.
Uh,
Oh, he did.
well, what did it say?
Currently meeting people to rehome some of our pets.
Oh,
Oof.
That sucks.
That's gotta be the worst part of any move.
mm.
So, as you guys probably know, I have been watching movies in my off time and talking about them in the new channel I set up.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't had a chance to watch anything last couple days because I've been busy. Um,
Which is fair, which is fair.
but I will probably I'm on a full moon entertainment kick, so I'm probably gonna keep watching more of those. Because they did more movies than I thought.
Uh,
I
oh,
want to get all the non Puppet Master stuff out of the way first. Because Puppet Master is going to be its own problem.
uh, well, have either of you seen anything about the new Brave series?
Nope. Not yet.
You're gonna like this newest robot, actually. Very much.
I can just imagine.
Because, simple reason being, he has to build his weapons like he's building a gunpla.
Yes!
That's
The the parts
pretty
get
cool.
the parts get 3D printed onto runners that he has to snip and everything.
Oh, that's good. That's hilarious.
That's that good shit right there.
Yeah.
Alright, the links have been set. My phone is on charge. I have everything ready to go.
Indubitably.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the stream. Vegas Bear here, as always, with Mekumon and Taro.
We have
Hello.
expanded. We did. Yeah, we expanded Giant Robot Week to 2 weeks since it didn't really work out last week, and
Hmm.
thus we redub it. We dig giant robots.
Yep. I forgot that was the name, but I'll change it for future streams.
Giant robot half a month.
But yeah, today we were gonna play
Giant Robot
Shogo.
Week Part Two.
We were gonna play Shogo Mobile Armor Division, but then I learned um, because it's such an old game, it would have resolution problems, meaning it would be like the Titanic game that we tried to play for Titanic Week.
And nobody needs that.
Yeah. No one needs to strain their eyes to see a tiny window. So instead, we're playing SD Gundam Battle Alliance.
And I am a very, very happy Mekumon.
I wish I still had my webcam because I got this big ass Godzilla poster while I was
Oh.
visiting my girlfriend. Actually, you know what? I can just put that in the Discord.
It's Gajia.
But for legal purposes, it isn't. Still, we should run like Gojira, like it's Gojira, even though it's not.
What was that from again? I forget.
Austin Powers.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So, for those unfamiliar with this game, the basic premise of SD Gundam Battle Alliance is that you are a character in a computer simulation that's supposed to be examining all the different Gundam timelines. You've been taken out of your specific timeline to correct historical abnormalities in other simulations. It's effectively a Gundam computer version of Dragon Ball Xenoverse, if you're familiar with that. You are traveling from timeline to timeline, correcting history.
They have more time to make it. I had to, man. I'm sorry.
Just because I'm in such a good mood, I'll let you slip with that.
I love that song though. It's an absolute bomb. Oh, there's the Bonky Boy.
Oh yeah, I forgot to do this. And the ad break just ended.
So, no one heard any of that.
They did if they're subscribed.
Yep. It's the trainer back.
Alright, so I am not starting a new game. I am investing too much. Oh, there are other save files.
There
Fuck
are
it.
save files.
Fuck it. I don't care. I've put in too much time and effort into this file to not show it off.
Oh, so that's the Alex who left the money.
Yep. It's my boy.
One of the most advanced Gundam-type mobile suits of its era. A shame what happened to it, though.
Alright, so we're going to go through a couple of levels. Show off gameplay. So, you get 2 companions with you. I usually have it so that I have a close quarters combat, close quarters guy, and I think that's support. Because the Alex is an all-rounder.
That's basically how my setup goes too. I play an all-rounder with a close quarters and a support. In my case, I have Marina Cruz and Low Buell. In the Kshatriya and the Astray Red frame, respectively.
Right. So here's my beautiful, beautiful Alex.
Hey, yo. It's the right.
Also, I am like way over leveled, so this is just... Nope.
You're dead. You were not living. You were not living to see tomorrow. Ow. Oh, I can use my special. No, just special. I just need to remember how to activate it.
It's, I think, her left and right shoulders.
Right. This is no Zaku, boy! Oh. Oh no. Here we go!
We killed you in a gym, and this is no gym.
This is no gym, boy. No gym. I really doubt that they did. People say the Simpsons predict everything. I say it's a load of horse shit.
I mean, you gotta admit.
It's a load of horse shit. I don't gotta admit nothing.
Being on a very tight run so far with what they predicted.
Alright, so all the suits I've unlocked so far. The original Gundam, the Grandpappy. Gun Cannon. Gun Tank. Jim. and the Zaku.
Cannon fodder.
We have the
Like, the
Dawn.
people who are... The Zaku enthusiasts will rage at me till the end of time, but gyms have always been better. It's
We've
just the
got
Xeon apologists don't want you to think that.
Char's Zagok. Zagok?
Zagok.
Zagok. And Char's Gelu. Gelgu.
Gelgu.
Damn it. From 8th MS team, we've got the Gundam Ground Type.
One of my favorite units ever.
We've got one of my
And
favorite
this is my
units ever.
go-to.
Oh, sorry.
And the Gundam Ground Type is one of my go-to sharpshooters, in spite of how generally weak it is in comparison to some of the other machines.
And then we've got one of my favorites, the Gundam Easy 8.
A very modified Gundam Ground Type. After it was nearly destroyed in battle against the mobile armor, they just took every resource they could find, crammed it together, and made a mobile suit out of it.
Yep. And then we have the Goofs
Goof.
Custom.
It's been pronounced goof, it's been pronounced goof. I just pronounce it goof.
Okay.
It is kind of goofy.
We have Mobile Suit Gundam 0080 War in the Pocket. Which is where my boy Alex is from. We also have the GM Sniper 2 and the Camphor.
Now, you'll note that Bear pronounces it GM while I pronounce it Jim. Technically, both are correct. It just depends on your dub and where you heard it first.
Next we have the Full Armor Gundam from Mobile Suit Gundam Thunderbolt. And then the Psycho Zaku.
Thank God I didn't pick that kid up.
And from Stardust Memory, we have the Gundam GPO-3S Stamen.
So, the thing with the Gundam Project machines is that they officially do not exist. As in universe, they officially do not exist.
They were stricken from the record.
They were considered above top secret at basically every level.
So, basically the Gundam mobile suit men of the left.
Yep, especially because one of them was designed for nuclear strikes.
The GP-02, I believe.
Yep, the Gundam GPO-2 Physalis was designed for nuclear bombardment. That was also the one that got stolen by Xeon remnants. It was not a fun time.
Nope. Alright. Moving on to Zeta. We have the Zeta Gundam. We have the Hayakushiki. The Quibbly.
Cubile.
Oh. And Big O! Showtime!
It's another mecha show that was on Tsunami for a while.
Yeah. Think Batman, but with a giant robot.
If Batman was a Mazinger pilot.
Pretty much.
I was about to say, doesn't he already have a giant robot?
Not like this. Yeah, this is the O. And yeah, moving on.
So, fun fact. At the end of Zeta Gundam, the Zeta itself transformed into its Wave Rider mode and ran its nose cone into that thing's cockpit. It did not end well for either of them.
Nope. So, moving on to Double Zeta, we have the Double Zeta Gundam.
Anime Janai.
And I still have to finish, like, getting the parts for this one, but the full armor Double Zeta Gundam.
That thing is a beast.
Also known as the Faz.
So that one never actually appeared in the respective show. However, it was shown in a little side project called Gundam MSV, or Mobile Suit Variations. It was a variant of the Double Zeta designed specifically for her, well, lots of DACA, to put it bluntly.
It was designed for DACA and only DACA.
Like, to the detriment of damn near everything else with the mobile suits.
Yep. I do believe this, or at least a older version of this, appears in Gundam Crossbones.
You are technically correct. The Gump, the most beautiful mobile suit to ever exist, was in fact a Double Zeta that survived for decades of just getting repaired with whatever Judo aspect to get his hands on.
Alright, now, Gundam. Char's Counterattack. I am surprised I don't have this. The new Gundam.
I do.
And the
It was a pain in the
Sazabi.
neck to get, but yeah, the new Gundam and the Sazabi were pains in the neck to get, but boy were they worth it.
And then we have the High New Gundam. Which, honestly, I like the design.
Yeah, the High New was very, very pretty.
And now...
Especially when people remember it's supposed to be purple.
we have...
There's multiple canonical designs for the High New, but my favorite is the original with all the chonk and the purple.
Now we're moving on to Gundam Unicorn with the Unicorn
The
Gundam.
Unicorn Gundam.
Yep.
The Beast of Possibility herself.
There's also the full armor Unicorn Gundam, which I don't have yet.
That is my other go-to sharpshooter.
And the Banshee. I
Now,
remember...
the thing with the Banshee is that, spec-wise, it is identical to the Unicorn Gundam, with the sole exception of the detective of the system to detect and track Laplace's box. The big MacGuffin of Unicorn Gundam.
Yep. Also, the 3 Unicorn units, I believe, were their names and design philosophies were inspired by an Irish legend.
That sounds about right.
Involving a unicorn, a lion, and a bird.
And here's the funny shit about the Phoenix. The only reason it's gold like that is for vanity's sake.
Yeah.
When the Earth Federation got their hands on the plans to make a unicorn unit for themselves, they just straight up made it gold to make it seem better than the other one. It was purely vanity.
And the Banshee Norn, I also don't have, but I am very close. I just need one more blueprint.
The Banshee Norn, for those who don't know, is basically an alternate equipment version of the Banshee.
Yep.
That is all it really is.
And then I don't know how to pronounce this one.
I don't know if you want to attempt.
I am waiting for my face switch to catch up. Kshatriya.
There we go.
It is one of Neo Zeon's better mobile armors.
It's a mobile armor?
It's a mobile armor.
Oh.
That's a mobile armor?
Is this, looking at the design tree, isn't this descended from the Quibbly?
Cubile.
I know what I said.
Yes, to a degree. The Cubile managed to spawn a number of successors, including but not limited to the Quinn Manta, this unit, and a mass-produced variant.
Oh. Alright, moving on, more Unicorn Gundam, we have...
It's another rare instance of the mass-produced variant might actually be better than the original whole "I'm unique" version that we actually see in the show, because one, there's a bunch more of them. Two, they figured out how to keep the performance up without sacrificing too much. And three, the mass-produced version actually has more weapons.
Oh. And here we have the Sinanju, a successor to the Sazabi.
Partially.
I mean, like, not when I say successor, I don't mean like...
Allow me to explain. Pretty please.
Okay.
So, yes, in a sense, it was developed from the Sazabi. And I'm not even talking about the color scheme yet, I'm just referring to the general development. But it also has equal amounts of New Gundam's DNA in its development.
That makes sense.
The original version, the Sinanju Stein, which was a mostly white mobile suit, if you recall the appearance, it was more or less meant to take what was learned with the New Gundam and streamline it. No need for funnels, this thing is all about the movement. Then the Sleeves faction, basically the remnants of Neo Zeon after Shark's counterattack, got their hands on the prototypes, all two of them, and one of which got repainted into this.
Yep.
There is some more customization involved in it, but it was more or less just a new paint job.
And moving on to Gundam Narrative.
The Sazabi's major influence in the development of the Sinanju was its weaponry.
We have the Narrative Gundam C-Pax.
From the New Gundam's successor to its prototype.
This was a prototype?
See, it was meant to... I said from its successor, as in the Sinanju, to its prototype, the narrative.
So this was a prototype of the new Gundam?
Yeah. That's why it has some visual similarities with the head design. It was meant specifically to test out some of the technology that would be implemented into the new Gundam, and was never really meant to have the full-body psycho frame like it's shown with here. That was basically just bolted on at the last moment out of desperation.
Oh.
It was meant exclusively to be a test-bed mobile suit to develop other, better mobile suits. It's also why the cockpit is basically exposed.
That makes sense. Alright, Gundam F91 with the, well, Gundam F91.
Yet another in a long trend of, my parents made this.
Also, am I the only one that keeps thinking of like a Formula race car whenever I hear F91?
That's intentional.
Okay, good, so I'm not crazy.
Yeah, that's intentional. Mobile suits were, at that time, being made smaller and smaller to be made more energy efficient. And with these smaller, more energy efficient machines, they started getting faster and faster and faster. the Gundam F91 was effectively... This thing pissed off Anaheim Electronics so much that they tried to develop their own version multiple times.
And how did that work out for them?
Some were more successful than others.
Okay. I was hoping you'd say, "Oh, they failed repeatedly."
I mean, they kind of did. See, while their prototypes were basically, they did succeed on like test battlefields and get good results, they tended to be costly to make. You see where I'm going?
Yep.
By virtue of being more cost effective, the F91 won out.
Alright. Now moving on to what oh, sorry.
The previous unit in this lineage, the Gundam F90, has a very, very familiar gimmick if you're familiar at all with the core Gundam.
Ronroy 30. Greetings, fellow Gundam pilots. How is everyone? We are doing good. We are nerding out over Gundam.
Maintaining my shining Gundam over here. What about you?
And Kiran, okay. And Taro is just smiling and nodding.
I'm no scared because I know nothing.
Okay, so like,
I have tried to explain each one as beginner friendly as I can.
okay. Just, we're gonna go through them all. But Taro, I'm also gonna ask like what you think of each one, just like by looks.
Okay.
All right, starting with the grandpa.
We call him Grandpa affectionately because this is the machine that started.
Yes.
I know that much because I remember from one stream where we watched all the Gundam movies.
I'm fine, thanks. About to launch in my Strike Freedom Gundam. Cool.
Okay, original Strike Freedom or Type 2? I
Yeah.
gotta know.
Continue, Taro.
It just looks simple, honestly. Like, there's not much I can say about it.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
The gun cannon.
Like, if there's anything Grandpa Gundam has, it's simplicity.
Gun cannon. For some reason, I keep getting reminded of that, what was that one, from Mega Man NT Warriors, the one that had shoulder cannons. I keep getting reminded about. This one keeps reminding me of him.
Shoulder cannons.
Hold on, let me find them.
And Kiran says Gundam Seed Destiny Strike Freedom Gundam.
Okay, so that's the Type 1. I had to ask because there is a Type 2 variant now with Seed Freedom. Personally, I prefer the Destiny Gundam Type 2 over the Strike Freedom. One part because I just feel the Destiny Gundam in general is more versatile than the Strike Freedom, and one part because with the Type 2 version, introduced in Seed Freedom, I can confuse the Dragoon system into firing on anything but me.
So he says, scratch that, I'm launching in the full armor Unicorn Gundam.
Good luck trying to pick me out for my holographic clones.
find what you were looking for, Taro?
I got the show, the wrong show, but I can't remember I can't remember the guy's name. He was all purple, he had a visor, well, some of them do have visors, but so that's besides the point. He, like, I don't know,
Did he have one shoulder cannon or two?
two on both shoulders. Like two, one on each shoulder.
Because I know a character similar to what you're saying, but he only had the one. His name was Vile.
What?
His name was Vile.
See, that looks like the artwork, but I'm talking about this show where the Navi would fuse with their human.
Oh, then you're thinking of Napalm Man.
Napalm Man. Okay.
Okay, so it looks like Napalm Man. Gun Tank.
Gun tank.
AKA one of the scariest motherfuckers you'll find in Gundam Battle Operation 2. If you find someone willing to go into space with one of these things, you know they're either incredibly confident or super scary.
Hey, Jiva.
Hey, is Jiva here?
Yeah, Jiva's here. Things are going good. We are getting Taro's take on the designs for Gundams.
Honestly, like, from me watching, oh god, I'm gonna butcher this guy's name. I know it's Yodiex? Yodiex? Whatever you want to call him. I just find it just a simple, silly little guy. Nothing scary.
I think I found a paradox in the tech spec for her, the Fantabi Overload here. The giant hauler trailer thing that turns into a set of heavy firepower cannons has a low firepower stat.
Alright. What do you think of the GM?
The GM. This looks like
This was
Just
Sorry,
let him
proceed.
talk. Let him talk.
honestly, to me, it just looks like a gun tank. The gun tank's little brother.
The gun tank or the gun cannon?
Gun tank. Gun cannon. Fies me.
And
You
Zaku.
don't know.
So Megamon, for this, we're not gonna lore dump on him. I just want his own personal thoughts
Fair enough. Fair
on
enough.
these machines.
Kinda reminds me of the Monaco mod from Digimon.
Reminds you of what from Digimon?
Monotamon.
Oh.
I think it's
Little
because of
ninja
the
dudes with TV screens for faces.
Ah.
I think it's because of the brain.
So if you pilot a tank robot, you're scary? Interesting. Only if you pilot it in space, Jiva.
Because those guys, lots of firepower, low maneuverability. If someone that has the balls to take that in a space where you have, like, I want you to keep this in mind. The gun tank was never meant for space. It was designed for ground combat. It has thrusters, but they're mostly just meant to help it hop over obstacles.
Alright.
If you take that into space, you are officially terrifying.
Alright.
Especially if you're competent with it.
What are your thoughts on the Dom?
What's his name again?
Dom.
Dom. D-O-M.
Honestly, it's giving me ninja vibes.
You know, I can see it.
A ninja!
Alright. What about Char's Zigok? Yes, we are on the Nintendo Switch. What about the Gelgoog?
It looks like the in-between state of the Zaku and the Zaku 2.
Huh. Interesting. Alright. Ground Gundam.
You know, having seen both the Zaku 1 and Zaku 2 in the lore, I can kind of see what he's saying.
You got nothing?
No.
I've got something. For some reason, it makes me think of a Chevy Tahoe.
What?
Makes me think of a car.
I got something for it too. I think it's a beautiful example of utilitarian design. Everything on that machine has a purpose.
They help me sit upright, sleep upright on airplanes.
What do you think of the Easy 8?
Mr. Edgy.
And the Goof.
Goof.
Goof. Custom.
Blue Edgy Zaku 2.
This is no Zaku, boy. No Zaku! You opened the door for that, I had to walk in.
Alright. What are your thoughts on my boy?
It looks cool.
Okay, now what are your actual thoughts?
Oh, really? It looks cool.
Hey!
What?
Kiran, we do not insult the Alex in this house.
You're on thin ice there, buddy.
The Alex is my
What?
favorite.
What did Kieran say? I
He
missed
said
it.
Boring.
he said boring.
Are you sure it was about the Alice or the Ground Gundam? Because I've seen people call that boring.
We'll wait to let them explain themselves. All right. The GM Sniper 2.
Honestly, when we saw this one, it kind of reminded me of, what was it? Patlore thing?
Oh, Pat Labor.
Patlore. Sorry, but I prefer the Zaku over the Alex.
Well, just
I feel like
don't.
a lot to be wrong.
No, I'm just gonna say, just don't insult the Alex, and we're fine. You're allowed to have your preferences. Just don't insult my boy.
Yeah, like, I'm not too overly fond of Zeon's mecha, but you don't see me insulting them.
And personally, I freaking love the camphor.
one guy who always brings too much artillery.
There's never too much artillery.
Not enough DACA. Alright. Full armor Gundam. My boy would be the Barbados Lupus Rex Gundam.
I've seen Jim's kill that. It's not super special. See how it feels.
I mean, it's cool looking at least.
Like, I'm making a point. If you like the Barbatos, more power to you.
You were no, this is what Kira. You were you believe in bunk supremacy then.
He is a member of the cult of Bonk.
Yeah, we have this running joke when we're playing Super Robot Wars that the Barbados has become a bonk demon because with its giant mace, it's just beating the shit out of everyone with it. To the point where there is now random chanting whenever he is on the battlefield.
He is the demon god of Bonk.
Alright, so what were your thoughts on Full Armor Gundam, Taro?
Does he have 4 shields?
Yeah,
Yes.
on subarms. I would explain why, but I have agreed to no lore dumping, so...
I mean, I'm probably wrong in saying this, but I feel like 4 shields is kind of overdoing it.
Okay, may I at least explain a bit about the shields then?
I
only about.
I
Is
can-
it only
I
about
can-
the shield? Is
I
it
can
only
just
about
say
the
this.
shield?
4 shields means more protection from this motherfucker.
You know what? Understandable. But
I will leave it at this. It's also a result of the battlefield they're in.
Oh yeah, because there's like a lot of like.
See, where they
Asteroids.
fight is called the Thunderbolt sector. It's a destroyed colony, and there's a lot of space debris around. The extra shields are meant to block the space debris so you're not crushed to death in between 2 massive slabs of colony.
If you want an overpowered in strength and hardly any ranged attacks with a ridiculously long tail spike, then Barbados Lupus Rex Gundam is the one for you. In its own universe, yes. However, it has been it's been explained and shown that outside of its own universe,
it's not quite as advanced as some of the other machines.
so Taro, I believe you already gave your thoughts on this one.
if Cyclone Red got his own robot instead of just being a monster.
You know what? That's fair. Thoughts on the Stamen?
It's named after flower parts.
I just can't keep thinking back to that one attack from SRW where Amuro just kept bringing up the 2 bazookas.
Honestly, like if you wanted to see the Stamen at its full potential, like it has
It should be blocked with the Dendrobium.
yes. Unfortunately, that's not in this game, so
I mean, it is and it isn't. It's part of its special attack, but goes away once the special attack is complete.
oh. Okay. Thoughts on Zeta?
Transform and fly out.
Okay, we're gonna try and like get through these quicker. Hayakushiki.
I'm gonna be honest here. I like the Kai better.
The Kai?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the Kai is freaking awesome.
It's also the upgrade of this thing made after this thing had been through some serious garbage, so...
It's basically the Digivolution.
Plus the fact, not really liking the shine on this one, honestly.
The shine actually does have an explanation, and a damn good one. That's anti-beam coating you're looking at.
Oh.
Anyway.
Mekumon, you might as well say the name for this because you know what I'm gonna say.
I am working my way back into the stream. Hang on.
Big old shoulders.
Ah, Cubile.
Yes. Wait, is that your thought, Taro? Just the big old shoulders?
Yes.
Alright, moving on. The O.
Big old feet.
Big old everything. He is a chonk.
Alright, double Zeta.
Transform and fly out electric boogaloo.
You're not wrong.
Only bit I'll say is that their show takes place mere days after the end of Zeta.
And I'm not going to ask your opinion on suits that aren't finished yet, because all you see are the silhouettes.
You can't really see them.
Fair enough.
Which means we have to skip the new Gundam.
And the Hainu.
Not the Hainu.
Let's see it. I could give my thoughts on the versions of them in SRW.
That is true.
I mean, they are still SD in there.
I actually quite like this one. Yes, it is because I look at the red.
Sazabi.
Yes.
Okay. The Hainu.
I know. Ichi, this is your favorite Gundam, right?
Ichi doesn't watch this stream.
That's exactly what I said.
That has the same energy as I can't read.
Alright. Unicorn.
One of my many, many Gundam offspring.
I like the way it kind of, you could say, transforms.
Yes.
Yeah, I like the way
That term is not inaccurate.
Because, like, it's got, like, two modes. We're just seeing its
Destroy mode.
destroy mode. Unicorn Gundam is one of the best Gundams ever. I mean, you're not wrong.
The Turn A would still kick its ass, but
Well, yes. That's the full armor, so we're not gonna bother. The Banshee.
literally what I said for the unicorn, but in different colors.
I'm assuming we could also apply that to the full armor, so that's just extra weaponry attached.
Yeah. The one I can't pronounce.
Kshatriya.
Big old, shoulders and feet.
Oh my god, it's like if the O and the other one fused. I just realized. Banshee is Darth Vader 2.0. Well, I mean, when it has that claw and cannon, I think you might have a point there. Because it wrecked shop when it had those weapons. Alright. The Sinanju.
exactly what I said for the other one, but chrome.
Okay. The narrative Gundam, CPAX.
I'm assuming this can do the same as Unicorn and Banshee.
It is basically what that loadout is meant for. It is not a transforming mobile suit, it's just covered in psychoframe. It can do some of their special powers stuff you'll be seeing later on in SRW.
Nice. I'll hold my thoughts out for a bit.
All right.
No!
Formula One race car.
And yeah, I will say, again, the Formula 91 reference there is completely intentional because that little thing is a speed demon. I won't get into why or how, because again, no lore dumps, I'm just telling you it's fast.
Okay, now we are approaching the units that we didn't go over before. So,
may I give some tidbits of lore after Taro gives his thoughts?
yes, that's what I was going to say. We're going to go through each unit in the row, and then you can give your thoughts, or your lore, or whatever. All right.
Because I love explaining the technology and how these things...
The Crossbone Gundam X1.
Just keeping in mind that I don't know everything about every machine.
Okay, who gave Taskmaster his own robot?
What's funny is, it's part of an organization that's pirate themed.
Want to be Pirate Gundam. And then I believe this is the X2.
I see more pirate now with this. Yeah.
So the thing with the Crossbone Gundams is that they were effectively developed, at least partially, from the F-91 with some similar technologies, including a biocomputer that had supposed to increase the machine's overall performance. If you look at the F-91 and see those fins sticking out of its shoulders, that's the cooling mechanism because the biocomputer generates a lot of heat. By shedding metallic particles that have absorbed that excess heat, it creates after images when it moves. This is one of the many inspirations for the Destiny Gundam. These were all... So, the X1 was piloted by the same guy who would pilot the F-91, albeit under a new identity. Is it overcompensating for something? I mean, that depends on how you view mega beam cannons in the first place.
All right. The
Next up in the timeline, a few years down the line.
The V2 Assault Buster Gundam.
Hang on, guys.
Taro, thoughts?
He looks like he can take on the Hulk without any major damages.
So you think he is a Hulk Buster?
I mean, look at him.
I mean, you're not wrong. He does kind of look like that.
That is a V2 with all of its optional equipment. And it is a powerhouse, and it had very nearly soloed the entire ending portion of its show.
Yep. All right. Is that all you had to say? Or
Yeah.
okay. The G-Self Perfect Pack.
The last step in the Universal Century timeline before Turn A.
Honestly, it looks like something I'd use.
So, I have some fun trivia about this one.
Oh boy.
See every glowing light blue part of the mobile suit?
Yes.
Those are photon batteries.
You're kidding.
Nope. Those are photon batteries. This is a battery-powered machine.
Huh.
With interchangeable backpacks that sometimes change the color of the machine to provide new combat strategies on the fly. This is beginning to sound very Impulse Gundam right now.
Yeah, I was about to say, this is starting to sound familiar.
People don't like its show too much because, well, it doesn't spell out overly much from the get-go. You really have to like dig into it and analyze everything and make some logical conclusions based on what information you get, just to figure out what the full story that as it's going. The compilation movies only help so much with its pacing too. In the case of the G-Self, most people I heard complaining about the design mostly complained about its V-fin.
Well, it was designed by the guy, it was designed by the dude that did Eureka 7, so shut up.
Like, I didn't really hate this type of V-fin. It's still a V-fin, it just happens to point outwards like a, goat horns. These batteries can be purged to lose extra weight when out in space. And while it isn't recommended, you can emit essentially bursts of energy directly from these batteries to get opponents to disengage from you.
Nice.
It is a desperation attempt to get machines off of you that are attempting to grapple you.
Jiva says it's a light-up Gundam.
I mean, it is.
Alright. The Turn A.
I think they told Megumon this one before, but for some reason the mustache-looking bit just throws me off.
It throws everyone off. It threw me off for a while.
It's a very polarizing design.
And then...
So,
hold on.
Turn A
Hold
is
on.
the most powerful...
We're not done. The Turn X.
Hey, LJ, look, you got your own Gundam.
Okay, now you can gush, make it one.
The Turn A is the most powerful Gundam on record, capable of destroying entire timelines single-handedly. It is capable of disintegrating organic matter and technology via its Moonlight Butterfly attack, which is a swarm of nanomachines that consume everything they come across. It can heal its pilot with those nanomachines, so you're only done when the Gundam says you're done. The Gundam can repair itself with those nanomachines, albeit it is a slow process in the show proper, but that is also a Turn A that's been significantly nerfed, so... The chest portion is entirely hollow. It is a silo for containing other weapons. The cockpit is there on its belt buckle, and I will continue to refer to it as such because any other jokes people have made are just not funny.
So, In another mecha series called Zone of the Enders, Kojima had this guy design the most of the mechs, but in like specifically the two main ones, Jehuti and Anubis. And when he was asked why he put the cockpit where he did, his response was, "Ha ha ha ha, because it is a cockpit. Ha ha ha." Anyway.
Quite literally.
Also, the Turn X is an alien. Well, made by aliens.
I will get there. So, amongst the powers that Turn A has, it is capable of teleporting weapons to itself, teleporting the shots they fire, teleporting the mobile suit itself. I mentioned the silo that can equip a variety of different weapons. For a large portion of time in the show itself, the Turn A carried 2 nuclear warheads in there.
It also carried a cow.
Among other things.
What?
Laurent Sahak was basically moving livestock as a favor.
So he put a cow in the chest compartment.
Because he had room in there. This was before finding the nuclear warheads, thankfully.
You stick the cow in there and suddenly you got a Brahmin.
So, the Turn A was designed by Sid Mead, who, as far as I'm concerned, needs no introduction. And the same goes for the Turn X, designed by the same guy. This dude is behind stuff like Aliens, Blade Runner. His futuristic art style is like it's amazing to look at. He left behind quite the legacy when he passed.
Oh, you are not kidding. Holy shit. Oh, damn, these designs are... Oh!
He wound up doing Gundam stuff in the first place because I believe Bandai just kind of contacted him on a whim. He had been trying to figure out the mechanics of how the RX-78 would work in a realistic manner just for fun. You could see design sketches he did of that. And he did a lot of mecha design for this show. A lot of the organic, kind of alien-looking machines you can thank Sid Mead for. As for the Turn X, as Bear said earlier, this is effectively an extraterrestrial machine. A machine whose origin is so shrouded in mystery, not even the people using it know where it came from. We know that the Turn A was developed from this thing, but we don't know where this thing came from.
Yep.
Heck, this isn't even its original appearance. That is also unknown. This is the Turn X after multiple battlefield repairs over centuries. Possibly longer. And this is how it appears in Turn A proper. We will never know the true appearance of this machine. It is, fun fact, the only other machine to use the Shining Finger attack in all of Gundam. This thing and the Shining Gundam share that. At least in name only. As this machine's Shining Finger is more akin to the Palma Piacina's of a Destiny Gundam, where he's grabbing onto an opponent and firing a point-blank beam. This thing is also capable of separating itself into multiple components and flying around the target like funnels. firing from a variety of angles.
Yep.
And this is arguably the one machine that could theoretically surpass the Turn A in terms of power.
And it just so happened that the guy piloting it was an idiot.
A bloodthirsty moron who has had the Megatron philosophy of peace is stagnation, war is advancement.
Alright, you good?
Yep.
Alright.
I gotta save some energy for God Gundam after all.
Burning Gundam!
I really do like this one.
And that makes me very happy to hear, Taro.
We also have the Master Gundam, but it's not finished, so...
So, the Burning Gundam, God Gundam in the original Japanese, which honestly, now that I think about it, Burning Gundam was a better fit because it kept with the nation's naming scheme for its machines. It is the second machine Neo Japan used for the 13th Gundam fight after the Shining Gundam was destroyed.
Jiva says it's a shonen anime Gundam.
It is. It really is. G Gundam is what happens when you take Dragon Ball Z, Street Fighter, and Gundam and mold them all into a single entity. The premise is that in order to prevent a full-scale war from breaking out, Earth and the colonies agreed to a tournament that happens every 4 years, where every major nation sends a mobile suit, or a mobile fighter in their universe's case, to Earth to fight it out in one big martial arts fighting tournament. And they fight, and they fight, and they continue fighting until the nation represented by the last standing Gundam earns the right to rule the entire Earth sphere for the next 4 years when it all starts over again. The Gundam fight was by no means a perfect system. It led to a lot of destruction, a lot of misplaced people, and a lot of poverty on the Earth.
Yep.
But it was better than the alternative. Burning Gundam here, as I said, was Neo Japan's second machine intended exclusively for use in the final round. The Shining Gundam, Tomogatsu's original machine, was destroyed while he was transferring all of his information and data into this. This thing, in its base form, is as powerful as the Shining Gundam in its hyper mode. Or at least so every source I've read claims. Had Domo not had gone through a massive training arc in the Guiana Highlands to learn to activate the super mode and later the hyper mode at will through a state of serenity, he would never have been able to utilize this machine properly. In its chest is an energy amplifier that allows it to strengthen the attack tanks it's capable of. The gauntlets have spikes, which it legit used to gouge out another Gundam's eyes once.
Yeah.
The gauntlets themselves also serve as stabilizers used in the ultimate attack this thing has, the erupting burning finger, where it superheats its hands with liquid metal to soften up an opponent's armor to easily crush the machine's head, which was considered an automatic disqualification in the Gundam fight. There was a secondary attack that could be done once you were dug deep in there called Heat End, where you disperse all of that built up heat energy in one big explosion. This machine had destroyed entire Gundams doing that. Like, from where he plunged the hand in, destroyed the entire machine's body, and just had the pilot just fall out of what was left.
Dude.
This thing is the machine that ultimately killed the Devil Gundam, or Dark Gundam in the English dub. Legitimately through the power of love.
He's a certified badass.
This is one of the few machines I believe could give the Terminator a heart.
Alright.
And we're gonna see another one next.
Wing Gundam.
Wing Zero.
Yes, Wing Gundam Zero.
I like this one as well.
Okay.
So Gundam Wing aired a couple of weeks after G Gundam stopped, to the degree that the original version of the Wing Gundam showed up in the final battle in G Gundam as like a cameo.
Thoughts on the Epion, Taro?
I'm not really thrilled on this one as I am the other one.
Okay.
First off, yes, Vanguardian, that is an understatement. G Gundam is busted. Like, as a universe, it is hilariously busted. People joke that this was the first and so far only time Gundam truly dipped into super robot territory. I'd argue Gundam Seed did that too, but that's a discussion for another day. So, the Wing Zero here was the progenitor of all Gundam-type mobile suits in its timeline. Equipped with the zoning and emotional range omitted system, Zero system for short, basically a souped-up version of the original Gundam's learning computer, a feature that is also shared with the Epion. This thing could predict any and all possible outcomes in a combat situation, and in order to reduce the reaction time to make it as fast as possible, it crams this information into the pilot's brain for them to sort it out and focus on the desired outcome. This worked out better in theory than in practice, as the lucky ones would just end up temporarily insane until they were dragged out of the cockpit of the machine. If you weren't lucky, this thing would give you a heart attack. The Wing Zero is capable of atmospheric re-entry thanks to its bird mode transformation, effectively a jet mode. It has twin buster rifles which draw power from the machine's reactor, powerful enough to wipe out a colony in one hit if you landed at just the right spot. And as I described, this thing was the progenitor of all Gundams in its timeline. But the developers who were creating this thing realized this thing is a goddamn monster and attempted to well, they shelved the plans and split them between themselves, developing 5 separate Gundams from this thing's original blueprint. This thing would ultimately end up being created by one of the Gundam pilots out of desperation when his machine was destroyed. It was effectively a looming menace for a good chunk of Gundam Wing until the main pilot finally came to the thing. The Epion, on the other hand, is kind of the inverse of the Wing Gundam in that whereas the Wing Gundam focuses on firepower, the Epion here focuses on dueling. It is a close combat machine with a beam saber connected to the machine via a wire with a variable output. This thing cut space stations in half.
I would also like to add that people often joke that Gundam Wing was a Power Ranger season because you had 5 characters controlling 5 robots, and then this motherfucker shows up.
I would jokingly call him the 6th Ranger, but he never truly joins the pilot.
I would consider him more of a he was
more
of a Dark Ranger.
Dead.
Plus,
Dark Ranger works.
yeah. Plus, I think a lot of people would agree that the Tall Geese 3 would be the 6th Ranger.
Yeah, the Tall Geese 3 was partially based off this thing, which leads me to the other weapon. So you can't really see it too well here. This thing has a whip in its shield. They call it a heat rod for some reason. This, in much the same way Burning Finger works, the whip can superheat itself to melt through opponent's armor. Like the Wing Zero, this thing can transform into a re-entry capable alternate mode. This one looking more like a twin-headed dragon. And like the Wing Zero, it has its own version of the Zero system called the Epyon system, which seems to be deliberately designed to sabotage the pilot, so they have to focus on the opposite outcome to what they want in order to make it work. Fairly recently, the Epyon got its own real grade kit, and I hear it's really good.
Alright, you good?
Next up, we have another one of my favorites.
The Gundam Double X. Now first, Taro.
It looks nice.
Fair enough.
I've had people argue with me over the following piece of trivia. This is actually a close combat machine. And this really just kind of goes back to the development and why it was developed the way it was. But the Gundam Double X was designed with all these close combat options between a pair of hyper beam swords, basically higher output than your standard beam saber, and a bunch of close range machine guns with a lot of armor penetrating power because of those cannons on its shoulders. If you think the twin buster rifle of the Wing Zero was powerful, that is a speck compared to these. Not only do they have the power to completely evaporate colonies in space, which these colonies are like the size of Rhode Island at smallest, but these things are incredibly precise. This dude, Garrod Ron, the pilot of this machine, not only managed to rapid fire this thing thanks to its enhanced cooling mechanism, the gold fins in the arms and legs, but he managed to make the minute adjustment to deliberately miss a target. The distance, like, he's in space, mind you, the distance from him being equal to the distance of the Earth to the Moon. The first shot deliberately missed. He was then able to make the minute adjustment to hit proper. This thing is powerful, it is precise. The only thing it doesn't have is an energy supply capable of feeding the cannons without help. See those green sensors on its chest? That is the receiver for what it is called the satellite system. Situated on the moon, it is an emitter of sorts that beams power directly into the mobile suit through that sensor to fuel those cannons. Those satellite panels on its back are legit just energy storage tanks for that extra power. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be funneled into the cannons when it's active. If you use the satellite system to charge up, you can funnel that power into other things. It's just rarely ever seen. For instance, you could funnel that extra power into the beam saber, a feature that wasn't seen until Gundam Build Fighters. In its universe, this was the machine that ultimately broke the cycle of war and achieved lasting peace between Earth and the colonies. Although its series was cut short, so they had that final arc a lot faster than it was intended. I'm done.
Okay.
Before you continue on to the next Gundam Bear, do me a favor and look in voice channel?
Oh, here we go.
Oh, that's so cute.
Get her plushies!
That can actually combine.
Sweet.
Oh, that is even better.
You can smush them into
Well-
each other.
Well, now you have a therapy getter to get.
Yeah, I do.
The therapy getter.
I never thought the words therapy and getter would ever be in the same sentence. Outside of I need therapy after watching Getter.
Speaking
It's like-
of getter, actually,
Go ahead. Say what you were gonna say.
speaking of getter, actually, I made a startling realization. I must have a sixth sense because I keep getting all the characters in this SRW that have Toku roles. Because guess what? One of
What?
Hayato's actors was Denji Green.
Nice. Shall we move on to Gundam Seed then?
Yes.
Since I have a little less love for this season than I do the others, I will be a lot more brief with these machines.
Please do.
I know. I'll keep it as brief as I possibly can.
Alright.
So, starting off
Well-
Gundam Seed, we have the Freedom Gundam.
First, shouldn't we be
I'm-
getting Taro's reactions?
Yeah, that's what I'm introducing it for.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I like the wings. I guess I don't really like the color scheme of this thing.
Thank you! Someone says it!
Alright. Next.
So, the Freedom's shtick is that it's high mobility and high firepower. That's basically it. It's got a pair of beam cannons in the wings, a pair of railguns on the hips, beam rifle, head Vulcans, and a pair of Vulcans in the chest. That's it. It does have beam sabers, but they're more rarely used.
Okay.
This next one is called Justice Gundam.
See, I like this one.
The thing it's riding on is also its backpack.
I very much like this one.
It was developed alongside the Freedom Gundam, and is effectively the commander unit of the pair. Hence the bigger, forehead mohawk thing. Whereas the Freedom is based on high mobility and high firepower, this thing is based on high mobility and close combat. like the Freedom Gundam, it has a pair of beam sabers, and they both, in both cases, the beam sabers combine into what is titled the ambidextrous halberd, but is more like a beam staff. And yes, the Justice does have some Vulcans for her, just in case. But what it also has is a pair of beam cannons on the Fatun 00 backpack, which is also its effectively Green Goblin glider, and a pair of beam boomerangs in the shoulders. It has an identical beam rifle and shield to that of the Freedom. That is more or less everything you need to know about the Justice. Beyond the fact that its pilot has a fascination with blowing his mobile suits up.
I want to snap.
Okay, Providence
Usually
Gundam.
out of desperation. So the Providence Gundam was developed by the same group that made the Freedom and the Justice. This thing is basically the Gundam Seed version of the new Gundam. In that all those spikes on its backpack, I realized I started describing it before I could even let Taro talk. I am sorry. Well, based on appearance, before I get into anything further,
my reaction's just the same as the Freedom, honestly. Not much to this one.
okay, so as brief as I can get it. Like I said, it's basically the new Gundam of its universe. On its backpack and on its side skirts and back skirts are all of its funnels. Each one has multiple beam guns, bringing up a grand total of 43 beam cannons on those things. Enhanced beam rifle, a shield that has a pair of beam guns and a large beam saber for close combat if anything should manage to get past the funnel. Was originally intended to be a close combat machine with its beam sabers, but when they realized who the pilot it was assigned to was, they quickly cobbled this thing together with different technologies. That is all.
Alright. Moving on to Gundam Seed Astray.
Which I don't know nearly as much about, so I've got even less to say here.
We have the Gundam Astray Gold Frame Amatsu Mina. Try saying that 5 times fast.
No.
Matsumina.
No, the entire thing, Taro.
I know. That's the best I can do. I mean, I like how the V-fin?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like how the V-fin looks like a hat.
that is cool.
With a mono eye.
Oh my god!
So which one is he staring out of?
All three. So, like I said, I don't really know too much about this one.
I like the design overall anyway. Go on.
So, it's basically cobbled together technology from the original Astray Gold Frame, which the Astrays are basically a Gundam Sentai team at that.
Yeah.
There were 5 of them, developed with different specialties in mind, and their frames, made of a special alloy, had different colors to denote their different purposes. This one utilizes a system called Mirage Colloid to briefly turn invisible. As it is still a battery-powered mobile suit, it can only keep that up for about 90 minutes at a time from a full battery. Its entire right arm is salvaged from another machine called the Blitz Gundam, which had also utilized that invisibility system. There is an upgraded version of this out there that turns that dark black coloration into a bright white. That's called the Amatsuhana. It does have some other technology differences, but that is basically the most immediate one I can remember. The thing with the Astray series is that these guys are run from an organization called the Junk Guild, whom, true to their name, use a lot of spare parts and random junk they find to upgrade their mobile suits. They are effectively the AUG of this universe, except less corrupt.
Got it.
Seed Destiny! I know a little more about these guys, but I'll keep it as short as I can.
I like the sword.
Destiny Gundam.
I like the sword.
So, is there anything else you need to mention about it before I go in?
No, go on.
This was a concept designed for the Freedom Gundam. When it started its life for the design stage, that was effectively, like IRL, it was intended to be the Freedom Gundam. The original concept idea was an all-in-one Strike Gundam using all of its packs, but ultimately they went with the version we saw prior. They eventually retooled that design and called it Destiny Gundam. In universe, this thing was developed from the pilot data of one Shin Asuka, pilot of the Impulse Gundam, who, like the Strike, had variable backpacks that could change its combat style, yada yada. I basically made a joke that the Gundam G-Stealth was like a Universal Century version of that machine. So, the Destiny took all that combat data, created an all-in-one mobile suit for the pilot to use, and for a decent while, it was pretty effective. But then, other decisions came into play, and I'm not going to get into those.
Thank you.
There is an alternate version called the Spec 2, which takes the design of this thing, improves it by fixing an error with its nuclear power plant, and gives it some extra little goodies, like the ability to recharge allied mobile suits on the battlefield.
It also has a white V-fin.
They both have a Wings of Light system that has, basically they've got like these pink beam wings that come out of the wings you see on the back of the Destiny. Much like the F-91 before it, these create after images when the machine is moving. These were basically a combination of random technologies with no real plan. They were legit thrown together with no idea how they'd play with each other. Before the nuclear reactor thing was fixed, the machine basically would drain power faster than it could generate it when it used those wings. Which is why they had to be used in short bursts. I am just talking consistently because I got hit with the 4 ads again. For weaponry, it's got a pair of Vulcans in the head, the big beam sword you see there, the trying to remember the name, the Arendite anti-ship laser sword, they called it. There's a beam cannon on its back, on its left side, and on its shoulders are a pair of beam boomerangs, much like Justice Gundam. It does have a physical arm shield it carries into battle, but it also has a pair of beam shields seen on the wrists, little yellow blocks. It also has a standard beam rifle and a pair of Palma Fiocina beam cannons mounted in the palms of the robot. Shin had a dangerous habit of using them improperly, thinking he was Domonkashi with the God Gundam prior. With the people behind the show admitted that was an intentional reference to Domonkashi and Shining / Burning Finger having Shin do that. It only worked once. After that, people caught on to his bullshit and he never really managed to get that to work. Like all machines in Gundam Seed, it has a version of spaceship armor. Well, outside of the Strays anyway. Spaceship armor basically creates an energy barrier via the energy in the battery that prevents physical attacks from damaging the machine. With a nuclear reactor in there, it would never run out of power if he wasn't abusing the wings of light, so the spaceship armor would last indefinitely. That's it for the Destiny. Next up in that list is the Strike Freedom Gundam.
All right, well, you talk. All right, Taro, give your thoughts. You're fine.
It's fine.
I'll give. Like you said before, I like the wings.
And much like the original Freedom, I'm assuming the color scheme problem carries over. So,
I'll be right back.
This thing is an upgraded version of the Freedom Gundam. And it is kind of like the Cosmic Era's High New Gundam in this sense. It's got a pair of beam rifles that can combine into a larger, more powerful beam cannon. A beam cannon in its belly, more advanced railguns on its hips, an upgraded version of the Freedom Gundam's beam sabers. It loses the Vulcans in the chest, but keeps the ones in the head. And on its wings are 8 Dragoons. The name is in and of itself an acronym, but for all intents and purposes, they are fin funnels. On the original Strike Freedom Gundam, these were capable of emitting beam blades and shooting beam rifle shots, but in the eventual Type 2 revision, they could also create beam shields. It has a pair of beam shield generators on its forearms. The inner frame is now gold because it has phase shift armor protecting the inner frame as well as the outside. The good thing about phase shift armor, though, is that you can change the color scheme by just changing the settings. And for all that beam spam, I am still confused as to why it is an all-rounder and not a sharpshooter.
Alright, Taro's getting sleepy. We need to speed this up.
You don't need
Thankfully, there's not much to say about the Infinite Justice next, so let's just show him that.
Whoa. I like you, man.
It is an upgraded version of the Justice Gundam. The wings and nose cone of the backpack can now emit beam blades themselves. The beam cannons on the backpack are upgraded. The beam sabers are upgraded. The shield now has a grappling hook, a beam boomerang, and a beam shield generator. And there are beam blade generators in the legs. So we can now kick with a beam blade.
Alright. Legend Gundam.
I'll just say what I said for that other one. Not that
So this is developed from the Providence Gundam, and it basically serves the same purpose, same function. The only real things of note are that it has more efficient power supplies, more traditional beam sabers. The physical shield is gone in favor of a pair of beam shields, the same model as the one on the Destiny, and that's really it.
Alright.
Its pilot was a clone of a clone, though.
Red ashtray frame.
Absolutely adore.
Absolutely?
Yes.
Is it because it's red or because it has katanas?
But
Got it.
So this is a version of the red frame with basically a bunch more added equipment and added on. The big sword you see it carrying has multiple modes, from booster thrusters to beam Gatling gun to giant sword, to two smaller swords mounted on the arms that can also generate beam blades. The swords on its hips are anti-beam coated.
Alright. Blue frame.
I like it, but not as much as the red version.
A lot of the equipment is more or less the same, with the exception of replacing the red frame's katanas with a pair of combat knives.
I also just love the fucking, like, bastard sword.
So it has the same giant sword that the red frame does, the one with the multiple modes. This thing also has a pair of essentially the same combat knives, but mounted permanently into its heels. So when it kicks, it can cut. And it has extra layers of armor. There's normal armor on the outside, and a layer of phase shift armor on the inside around the cockpit to further protect the pilot. This thing, as far as I know, was customized more for higher mobility as opposed to cutting power.
Alright.
Mobile Suit Gundam 00, here we go.
Alright, again, try to keep it short.
I'll just leave it to the specializations.
You okay? You okay, Taro?
I might just go.
Alright.
At least let us finish this batch of 00.
I
Because
don't think that's gonna happen, man. He sounds pretty tired.
can we at least show him the O Gundam then?
Yeah, that's pretty see, is that?
It's another one of my favorites, and I wanted to share it with you.
Also,
Oh, you haven't unlocked it yet.
Yep, I'm sorry.
Ah, well. We'll consider that a teaser for later.
Alright. Bye, Taro. Get some sleep.
Sorry for yammering your ear off.
It's fine, it's fine.
Forgot I had these guys.
They were a bitch to unlock via her actual mission, but I managed.
Oh yeah, they were impossible.
Like, individually, I could have handled them one at a time. I was still, like, in my 70s at that point, and they were in their level 60s. But that's 3 level 60-somethings individually versus 3 level 70-somethings. And boy, did my O Gundam get served. I only managed to finally get past them consistently once I unlocked the Turn A. So you'd need one of the Chaos missions for that. Funny enough, the one that lets you unlock the O Gundam is available.
Nice.
but you need the keys for that.
No, I don't.
Oh, that's the other one.
The keys are for the ones that aren't like
Immediately available.
yeah.
Like, I love the O Gundam, but compared to some of the other machines, it's kind of weak. The kid who, a few months ago, didn't know how to make gambling references. I don't know how to feel about that.
Wait, what?
Mikazuki's making references to poker with all in and everything on the table.
Oh. Oh, yeah, okay, that's worrying. Nico, who's teaching you? Who's teaching you gambling?
In his universe, he only just learned to read like maybe a month ago. If that. Also, I love the fact that you're taking down Rippon's Allmark in the O Gundam alongside Amuro Ray in the RX-78.
Yep.
Considering the connection between these two characters, it's not just that they share a voice actor, their initials are literally reversed.
Oh shit.
I do have the Alex unblocked, I just gotta level the thing up. Right now I'm more focused on getting the 001 to a point where I'm satisfied with it.
Alright, here we go.
Equip! I will stand by this. We should get a build series where the protagonist uses its own Gundam.
I mean, that would be
Because it's basically the same reason why the Law Gundam says a protagonist use, even if it is a little boring. Because put simply, the O Gundam is a very basic protagonist underdog in much the same way the Strike Gundam or the R78 were the stock 001 was. And hey, we can technically have a customized RX-78 twice. I think we can have an O Gundam. Yeah, we technically did have a stuff RX-78 twice. The core Gundam is officially a customized RX-78.
I know that.
Despite the fact that it looks more like the Age 1. And I will die on this hill. I have compared their head sculpts to each other. They look the core Gundam looks more like the Age 1 than it does the RX-78. And I don't care how many RX-78 variant color schemes you put on it. So, be honest with me, until I told you about the whole RX-78 thing, what did you think the core Gundam was a custom of?
I honestly wasn't sure. I assumed it was a hodgepodge of different units.
It very well might still be, but officially it was developed from an RX-78. Which, I guess I could see that for how much they wanted to draw parallels to it with the different RX-78 color schemes. The G3 colors, the real type colors.
Yeah.
The use of the beam javelin. The fact that without any of the add-ons, just using a beam spray gun like a gym. Which, by the way, can we just acknowledge that? The core Gundam's main distance weapon is a beam spray gun. It doesn't change to a straight-up beam rifle until it equips one of its many armor.
Right.
So, just as for the gym, we've seen that the beam spray gun can actually be effective. So I might have to walk away for a few minutes every now and again because the log exterminators are coming by for their, occasional check-in. So frustrated with the fact that I've got a PS5 now.
Ah, yes, the technological abomination.
Kill it, 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 kill it. I mean, you deserve so much better than to become this.
He had potential to be a great character, but his anger and misinformation.
Also, I'm just gonna put this out there. I find it hilarious how well the Gundam Alex actually works in an IBO universe. With the use of the explosives and the arm gatling, it's actually very well equipped for combat against Gundam frames and grazes and whatnot.
Nice. Oh, my kitty cat came to visit.
On the plus side, now that I've got this, I can go out of my way to get Marvel Spider to use.
Oh yeah. Also, I would recommend Marvel's Midnight Suns.
I should see if the PS5 can play PS4 games.
I believe it can.
Because if I can somehow access my Gundam Breaker save file that way,
Actually, I know for certain that it can play PS4 games because I've played PS4 games on it.
yeah, I could basically start bringing my PS4 games up here to play on this thing, so I don't have to bug my sister about it. I can keep my saves from one to the other. That'd be cool. And if I can't, then I have to start Gundam Breaker 3 all over again from the beginning. I'll be mildly upset, but I won't have technically lost the save file because the one on the PS4 will still exist.
Alright, well, we're at 2 hours.
Yeah, and I gotta be, available for the exterminators, so...
So, thank you all for joining us today. I know there was more talking than gameplay.
Especially from me.
But, I mean, we were nerding out. We were nerding out. I feel a little bad for Taro, though, because we just kind of, like...
We basically trampled all over him.
We threw a box of Gundam models at him and said, "Hey, which ones look cool?"
Yeah. Well, you were going, which ones look cool? I'm going, trying not to nerd out over every little one.
Bye, Jiva.
You're welcome, Jiva.
Alright. So, tomorrow... Now that SD Gundam is out of the way, what else did I have on my Switch? Yes. Panzer Paladin is next up. It is a sort of Mega Man clone with a twist. You're playing as an actual mecha, and you can actually get out of the mecha during gameplay. So, yeah, tomorrow, look forward to that. So until then, this has been Vegas Bear 92.
And Meikumon.
And Taro was here earlier dealing with our bullshit. And we